You commenced late, so stop waiting around and begin winning. Have you ever gazed around your surroundings and felt like absolutely everyone else is already miles ahead of your current position? Some individuals seem to possess the career you deeply wanted, the unwavering confidence you fiercely wish you had, or the monumental success you genuinely thought would surely be yours by this point in time. It is incredibly easy to believe you are entirely too late, that you completely missed your singular chance. But here is the undeniable truth. Starting late is not the thing that ruins dreams. Staying completely still after realizing you are behind is exactly what does. You simply cannot change yesterday. You cannot possibly recover the precious years that are already gone. But you can firmly decide what happens next in your journey. The exact moment you stop making empty excuses and start taking absolute accountability, your future immediately begins to shift. If you started later than the rest, your specific path will obviously not look the same as theirs. That is perfectly fine. Your true job is not to merely copy their unique journey. Your ultimate job is to make every single day count from this distinct point forward. First and foremost, you must completely accept exactly where you are right now. Far too many people waste precious years of their lives pretending that everything is perfectly fine when it is clearly not. They constantly blame bad luck, external circumstances, or other people for their own lack of forward movement. They actively avoid facing the harsh reality, because doing so feels deeply uncomfortable and intimidating. However, living in denial never creates any form of genuine progress. You need to look honestly and courageously at your own life. Ask yourself the difficult questions about where you are currently falling short, and what specifically needs to profoundly improve. This critical assessment is not at all about aggressively criticizing yourself. Rather, it is entirely about gaining essential clarity. The clearer you can accurately see your current position, the much easier it becomes to effectively build a solid path toward a significantly better future. Your initial starting point absolutely does not define your ultimate destination. It merely tells you exactly where the hard work officially begins. Acknowledging your current state without any sugarcoating is the first vital step toward true transformation. You must immediately stop waiting for motivation to strike. One of the absolute biggest mistakes that people consistently make is firmly believing they need to feel completely inspired before taking any meaningful action. Motivation is incredibly temporary and fleeting. Discipline, on the other hand, is what truly lasts and sustains you. There will inevitably be difficult mornings when you absolutely do not feel like working or putting in the necessary effort. There will undoubtedly be exhausting evenings when simply relaxing seems far easier than dedicating time to improving yourself. However, those exact moments of resistance are precisely what decide the trajectory of your future. Absolutely anyone can work hard when they are feeling excited and highly motivated. The rare individuals who actually manage to change their lives are the ones who relentlessly continue pushing forward, even when that initial excitement completely disappears. You should never ask yourself whether you actually feel fully ready to begin. Instead, you must ask yourself whether your ultimate goal matters enough to you to keep going anyway. Regardless of your current emotional state, waiting for the perfect mood is a guaranteed recipe for perpetual stagnation. It is imperative that you treat your precious time like it is incredibly valuable. Time remains the only vital resource in this universe that you can never actually replace once it is spent. Financial wealth can always return. Lost opportunities can eventually return in new forms. Depleted energy can adequately recover with proper rest. Time, however, never ever comes back once it slips away. Every single hour you carelessly spend on meaningless distractions is a precious hour that could have been directly invested in securing your brighter future. This certainly does not mean that you should never take a moment to rest and recharge. Rather, it strictly means that your daily priorities should accurately match the specific life you are actively trying to build for yourself. You must fiercely protect your early mornings. You must aggressively protect your mental attention. You must relentlessly protect your deep focus. Highly successful people rarely possess more actual time in their day than everyone else around them. They simply waste significantly less of it on trivial matters. Every passing minute is a silent transaction where you are trading a piece of your mortal life for whatever you are currently doing. You must focus heavily on building unstoppable momentum through unwavering consistency. People are far too often looking everywhere for massive, dramatic breakthroughs that will change everything in an instant. In stark reality, the vast majority of monumental success simply comes from ordinary, mundane days being repeated consistently over a long period. One single intense workout absolutely does not transform your physical body. One incredibly insightful book certainly does not transform your entire mind overnight. One highly productive day definitely does not transform your entire life. But hundreds of them, stacked together without interruption, absolutely do. Your grand mission is not at all to become completely flawless and perfect overnight. Your true mission is merely to become slightly better today than you were just yesterday. Small, seemingly insignificant improvements naturally compound over time. Eventually, the massive gap between who you previously were and who you have ultimately become becomes totally impossible for anyone to ignore. Consistency is the quiet, unglamorous engine that powers all extraordinary human achievements. The path to greatness is filled with endless repetitions of the fundamental basics. Embrace the daily grind, knowing that this exact repetition is the secret alchemy of mastery. You absolutely must stop letting crippling fear make your crucial decisions for you. Fear will always manage to find a highly logical sounding reason to significantly delay you from taking action. It will constantly tell you to just wait patiently until you are significantly more experienced. It will whisper in your ear to wait until external conditions drastically improve. It will strongly suggest that you simply wait until you feel completely confident in your abilities. But true confidence absolutely does not come first in this equation. Decisive action does. Every single highly successful person you have ever truly admired forcefully took action long before they ever felt completely ready to do so. They were certainly not entirely fearless or immune to doubt. They simply stubbornly refused to let their fear become the ultimate decision maker in their lives. Whenever fear aggressively tells you to stop and retreat to safety, you must constantly remind yourself that staying exactly where you are is very often the far greater risk to your ultimate potential. To live a life dictated by fear is to live a life confined within an invisible prison of your own making, completely detached from your dreams. As you navigate this journey, you must fiercely protect your focus at all costs. Your undivided attention is undeniably one of your absolute greatest personal assets in this highly distracted world. Every single pointless notification on your phone, every utterly unnecessary and draining conversation, every mindless and endless scroll through social media directly steals a small but vital piece of it. Individually, those tiny distractions may seem perfectly harmless and entirely inconsequential, but gathered together, they quietly steal entire months and even years from your limited life. You absolutely must learn how to firmly say no. Say no to meaningless activities that do not actively move you forward toward your goals. Say no to destructive habits that consistently leave you feeling utterly empty and drained. Say no to burdensome commitments that completely consume your valuable energy without remotely improving your future prospects. Every single truly meaningful yes in your life strictly requires many intentional and highly disciplined no's to protect it. By allowing distractions to succeed, you are effectively handing over the steering wheel of your destiny to complete strangers. Reclaiming your focus means aggressively pruning your environment and establishing strict boundaries that safeguard your mental clarity. It is absolutely crucial that you do not ever confuse temporary comfort with genuine, lasting happiness. Comfort certainly feels incredibly good today, wrapping you in a warm blanket of easy familiarities. However, true growth is what actually feels incredibly good tomorrow and for the rest of your life. The absolute easiest path is very rarely the specific one that actually creates the deeply fulfilling life you truly want and desire. Meaningful growth constantly asks you to willingly become quite uncomfortable, to force yourself to wake up significantly earlier than usual, to diligently study much longer than required, to relentlessly practice your craft when absolutely nobody is watching, and to stubbornly keep going long after all the others have completely stopped. Discomfort is absolutely not a form of cruel punishment. It is very often the concrete, undeniable evidence that you are actively stretching yourself far beyond your previous self-imposed limits. When you deliberately choose the difficult path, you are forging a stronger, more resilient version of yourself in the fires of adversity. True, profound satisfaction only arises from successfully conquering challenges that once terrified you. Therefore, you must learn to actively seek out the necessary discomfort. You must stubbornly keep showing up, especially on the incredibly difficult and exhausting days. There will be some glorious days when you will genuinely feel completely unstoppable and highly energized. There will also inevitably be other, much darker days when you will deeply question absolutely everything you are doing. Both of these vastly different types of days count equally toward your ultimate goal. The primary difference between highly successful people and absolutely everyone else is definitely not that the successful ones somehow magically avoid having bad days. It is entirely that they simply continue working straight through those bad days without hesitation. Even if your absolute best effort today is only exactly half of what your effort was yesterday, you must still show up and put in the work. True, lasting progress is not always about achieving maximum peak performance every single day of the week. It is much more about stubbornly refusing to completely disappear when things get difficult. The unbreakable habit of simply showing up consistently builds a profound level of trust within yourself. And this deep self-trust is undeniably one of the absolute strongest forms of real confidence you will ever manage to develop. As you push forward, always remember to carefully measure your actual progress, not some impossible standard of perfection. Far too many people hastily quit their pursuits early because they foolishly expect instant dramatic results from their minimal efforts. Real, sustainable improvement usually happens very quietly and almost invisibly behind the scenes. You simply do not clearly notice yourself getting physically stronger immediately after completing one single strenuous workout. You only truly notice the difference after many months of dedicated training. You definitely do not become highly skilled at a complex task immediately after completing one single practice session. You only become truly skilled after hundreds and hundreds of agonizing repetitions. You must intensely focus your mind on the daily process itself. Diligently track your positive habits. Proudly celebrate your unwavering consistency. Simply let the ultimate results completely arrive in their own sweet time. The obsession with immediate gratification is a toxic mindset that poisons the well of long-term success. Trust entirely in the fundamental mathematics of compounded effort, knowing that no ounce of genuine hard work is ever truly wasted in the grand scheme. Consistency and patience will eventually yield the magnificent harvest you desire. You must firmly resolve to stay completely committed long enough to actually see the glorious rewards of your labor. The sad reality is that most people simply quit far too early in the difficult process. They excitedly plant their hopeful seeds in the ground, and then they impatiently dig them up every single week just to anxiously check if they are finally growing. Achieving true success absolutely requires deep patience, but definitely not a weak, passive patience. It requires a fierce, active patience, the specific kind of relentless dedication that continues working extremely hard, even when the promised rewards have not yet visibly appeared on the horizon. Eventually, if you hold on, something profound fundamentally changes. The accumulated work finally begins to significantly compound upon itself. Massive, unexpected opportunities suddenly appear out of nowhere. Your hard-earned skills drastically improve. Your internal confidence massively grows. Confused people will suddenly start calling you incredibly lucky. They will completely fail to see the many hundreds of quiet, lonely, highly disciplined days that actually created the magnificent outcome they are now witnessing. Your journey is a marathon being run in the pitch dark, where the only light is your own conviction. Whenever the journey gets tough, you must always remember exactly why you initially started in the first place. Whenever you desperately feel like completely giving up on your goals, deeply remember the specific person you are actively trying to become. Vividly remember the exact beautiful life you are painstakingly trying to build for yourself and your loved ones. Strictly remember the unbreakable promises you quietly made to yourself in your most private moments. Those powerful internal reminders are vastly stronger than any temporary fleeting emotions of fatigue or deep frustration you might currently be experiencing. Your ultimate future is absolutely not decided by one single massive perfect decision made on a perfect day. It is entirely decided by many thousands of small, seemingly insignificant decisions that are repeated consistently over a long period of time. Every single highly productive morning truly matters. Every single difficult, uncomfortable conversation truly matters. Every single quiet hour spent diligently learning truly matters. Every single important promise you strictly keep to yourself truly matters. You absolutely do not have to outrun absolutely everyone else in the entire world. You only strictly have to become significantly stronger than the older version of yourself. One glorious day in the future, you will eventually look back at your journey and clearly realize that the exact moment everything truly changed was definitely not when grand success finally arrived at your doorstep. It was specifically the pivotal day you firmly stopped waiting for things to happen. It was the very day you bravely accepted total responsibility for your own life. It was the crucial day you deliberately chose strict discipline entirely over easy comfort. It was the transformative day you finally decided that your complicated past would absolutely no longer control or dictate your bright future. Starting your journey late never actually meant that you completely couldn't ultimately succeed. It only meant that your specific, unique journey fundamentally required a much greater level of intense intention and unbreakable focus. So you must immediately stop unfairly comparing your unique timeline with someone else's completely different timeline. Stop constantly wasting your precious energy on useless regret over the past. Simply take the very next logical step forward and then bravely take another one immediately after that. Stubbornly keep moving forward even when your actual progress feels agonizingly slow. Relentlessly keep learning and adapting even when absolutely nobody notices. Fiercely keep working extremely hard even when the tangible results remain completely invisible to the naked eye. Because every single day you stubbornly refuse to quit, you are actively building a magnificent future that your past could never possibly have predicted. Your unique story is absolutely not finished yet. It is definitely not too late to change the ending. And your grand next chapter officially begins the exact moment you firmly decide to pick up the pen and write